All right, we're back. All right, well, that was exciting. It's a hot day here in the Central Valley, and I think maybe we put out a little bit too much energy, but we'll pick it up from where we left off. I was talking about mind, and I read the definition. I want to go back. Well, I'll leave it for now. You can probably pick it up if you rewatch what I said. Thing is that God is not a being. We have been told since we were little kids that God's this guy, but God's not a guy. God is a beingness, if you will. It's a consciousness. It's everywhere present. We talk about it being everywhere present. Think about this. If God was a being, how could God be here or there or any one particular place at any given point in time? But if God is everything, but God is consciousness, then consciousness can be everywhere. Consciousness becomes a potential of everything and is everything, expressing as everything. And that may be a little bit of a deeper understanding of this divine principle, but think about it. When you think about your relationship to God, is it really somebody, or is it really just the entire consciousness or beingness? And within that consciousness or beingness, we have the energy, if you will, that is creative. And we like to think of it as being a thought type of energy that is creative, because we know that through our thinking, through our thoughts, that we can influence how things are created in our own life. At one time that was kind of it was something that a lot of people felt was maybe a little on the magic side or whatever. But we have people that have shown up throughout history that have taught us that that's something that is available to all of us. Of course, the most famous being the master teacher, Jesus, but there are many others. In the last century, there were people like Neville and Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore and many, many others. If you want to get into the non-spiritual part of it, you have people like Napoleon Hill. When he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, there were a lot of people that were very skeptical, but there were a lot of people that took the concepts, the principles, the things that he taught in that book, and they put them into practice in their life, and they were consistent in their application, and it proved out to be true. The reason why it proved out to be true is because we have the ability through thought to affect our life, not only our interaction, but actually the things that unfold in our life to a great extent. And this is the spiritual side of New Thought, and it's a little bit different than what a lot of people, what their concept is when we think about spirituality. A lot of people think of spirituality as being something that involves either asceticism or piety or something that sets us aside or apart from our life experience. But we're here in this life expression to experience and to express. What are we to express? We're to express the divine beingness that is expressing through us as us. So we take these concepts and we begin to look at them in a organized practice of daily living. And this is where spiritual practices come in when we talk about meditation and prayer and affirmations and so on. But what we're doing with all of those things is we're taking and we're I'm going to use the word training, and I don't know that that's necessarily the best word to use, but we're training our mind or our brain, which is not our mind, but we're training them to function in certain ways. Our brains are actually hardwired for fear. No matter what happens, we automatically go to a fear-type response. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we are afraid. We may get angry. We may choose to fight because that mechanism is going to determine what the outside event is and then give us basically input as to what our response will be. And that's an evolutionary product. But as we begin to grow in consciousness, as we begin to awaken to the truth of who we are, we realize that has been a Lord and Master over us that has held us back in so many ways, that has limited us in so many ways, that has taught us that life is limitation, when in truth, life is not limitation. Life is abundance. And when we begin to open our minds to that, when we begin to practice this in daily practices, this abundance begins to unfold. Unfolds in so many ways. Now it's time for our next break, so I'm going to see you when we come back.
And visit KevinGLittle.com.
You can't be fresh if your cut isn't. So support your local barber and come down to JDB Cuts Barbershop at 1855 East Dakota, just east of Blackstone behind the Shell Station. JDB Cuts is open Monday through Thursday from 10 to 6:30 and Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Get your dog the proper training for the next hunting season with Reliable Retrievers. With positive dog-friendly methods, your hunting companion will be eager, enthusiastic, and ready to go. Call Reliable Retrievers at 559-287-3375 and visit us on the web at www.reliableretrievers.com. Join the Paycation lifestyle for the ultimate experience in travel training. Contact Amanda Howard, a certified travel agent, at 559-708-3991 or visit monarchtravel.paycation.com.
Realtor Letty Pinjatori is a broker associate with Keller Williams, and she is also a voiceover artist. Contact Letty at 559-281-4568.
Elite Custom Painting is here for you. We can help you achieve that custom look with premium paints and custom texture with quality workmanship at reasonable prices. Discounts for veterans and senior citizens. Prompt, reliable, professional, Elite Custom Painting delivers superior customer service, specializing in residential interior and exterior painting, cabinet repainting, wallpaper removal, and retexturing. Call today for your free estimate at 559-970-8154.
Sunshine Natural Health in Tulare, California is your source for nature's best remedies. Call Sunshine Natural Health at 559-688-2063 and get healthy.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling. It has been an interesting day today for sure. But anyway, we're going to move on with our topic of mind here. I want to read you a couple things, and this is from the Science of Mind book that was written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And he says here that spirit then is all there is, and at this very hour, all creation is spiritual. We have arrived at the conclusion that spirit, or the mind of God, is all creation. So the mind of God or spirit is what we're talking about when we talk about mind. It is all creation. And we're some part of that mind and that all creation. And as we think and we use our minds, we are using it within that. And that's what gives us access to creative ability, if you will, as individuals. Can you imagine that you were so much stronger than what you think you are? And why do I say that? Because in truth, it is true. We watch people. You see people. Successful people, happy people, and they have a happy demeanor and a successful demeanor. And we see unhappy people, and they have an unhappy demeanor. And the commonality between or through all of that is the demeanor of the individual really is the director of their life's play. If you want to have a successful, happy, healthful life, you have everything you need to do that. But you got to learn, you got to accept it, you got to believe it, and then you'll see it. And we get it backwards when we think that seeing is believing it really is believing is seeing. It's through our belief and our faith that we begin to utilize the power that is God expressing through us. And as we believe it, we will see it. And this is what, when I mentioned Napoleon Hill, this is one of the underlying foundational points of Think and Grow Rich, or Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the power of positive thinking, and Wallace Wattles, the science of getting rich, and it goes on and on. Tony Robbins today and what he teaches, and Dr. Joe Vitale and the things that were shown in the movie The Secret, they're all tied into this one underlying concept, that there is a law of cause and effect, that we are in our own consciousness at cause to the effects that we experience in our lives, which means through our choice, through the choices we make, we have directorial control, if you will, of our life experience. We practice these things, and in truth, what we're doing is creating a spiritual life for ourselves. Having a spiritual life is not about going around talking about God, praying to God, reading about God, talking about God again and again and again. A spiritual life is the practice of the presence of God as us. In other words, we put ourselves in mind in relationship to the divine principle that God is expressing in, through, and as everything that we encounter. When Jesus said that we are to love God with all that we are, in effect, he was saying we are to love ourselves with all that we are also. And then he followed that up by saying that we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. You see, there's this thread of love consciousness that goes through all that. And he could have just as easily said, you got to love everything because you are part of everything. And if you take that thought a little bit further, if we love everything, what about all those unlovable things that we experience or we see in life? What about all those negative individuals or things that people call evil? What about that? If God is everything, how do we explain evil and how do we explain negativity? Well, we have, as human beings, the ability to make choices. If we didn't have the ability to make choices, then our life would be no more than like a computer program that programmed us to get up in the morning, go through our day, experience everything, and go to bed at night, and it would be the same thing. But we are growing consciousness beings, and as growing consciousness beings, we have to have the ability to make choice. And when we make a choice, we can make a choice that is affirming, or we can make choices that are limiting. And sometimes, in our choices, in our ignorance, we begin to, or maybe we always felt, a separateness from the divine principle, believing that God is somewhere away from us, that God is not part of us. So if God is away from me and not part of me, and I'm solely a separate individual, I make choices that are not necessarily affirming. I may steal so that I can have more. And when I do, my consciousness towards my neighbor is they're not worthy. And we can carry that out to the nth degree. You can look at tribal cultures where my tribe versus your tribe, and my family versus your family. Now, it plays out in sports. It's fun, but it plays out in life sometimes in life or death drama. And as a human consciousness, we're evolutionarily moving beyond that. If you look at how history has played out, you see where mankind came from, or humankind, and you see how we have slowly, ever so slowly, but we've continued to evolve upward and upward and upward. As humanity gains a greater understanding of the truth of who it is, we leave behind the old negative concepts. There's things that in life today that are unacceptable that just 20 years ago were accepted as normal behavior. And 20 years from now, there'll be things that are acceptable today that won't be acceptable then. That doesn't mean that it's going to be totally eradicated from the world, but I believe eventually it will. I believe that humankind is on that process because humankind, as a demonstration of God, has that inner urge to do that. There was a recent scientific study that was done, and it was It was on why we tell the truth, and the researchers they use functional MRIs so they can watch the brain as people are going through various thinking and consciousness activities, and what they found is the reason why people generally tend to tell the truth is because it feels good. Now, it feels good not because we learned that it feels good. It feels good because that's part of the basic who we are. That can be short-circuited through various life experiences, and so you get people that habitually fail to be honest, to be truthful, but underlying it all, there is something within us, if you will, that urges us, that moves us to tell the truth, and we feel good when we do that. There's something inherently good in the way we treat people when we take judgment out of it. If we don't judge people, we don't judge our neighbors, if you will, we generally tend to be affirming in our relationship with them. Well, these are some of the things in Science of Mind that we teach, because what we're looking at is improving our individual life experience through our own life practices. As we do that, we create a better life for ourselves, and that's a wonderful thing. But as we do that, as we create a better life for ourselves, we create a better world. As individuals, we have no idea of the effect that we individually have in the surrounding consciousness where we exist and things beyond that. Years ago, I think it was in the 70s, there was a fellow that came up with a concept, and he called it the butterfly effect. And it was a legitimate scientific concept, and the basic understanding was that a butterfly could flap its wings in the United States, and as an effect of that, there would be ultimately some kind of a tornado or some horrendous wind experience on the other side of the world. And he was laughed out of the symposium when he presented it in the 70s. But over the years, they've done a lot more research, and they, meaning the scientific community. And now the concept of the butterfly effect has legitimate standing, because little things triggering something, and you extend that over a long period of time, can have major effects. Little things like a smile that you gave somebody, not judging somebody, being accepting, all these things as individuals that we go through them. The effect may be momentarily good, but it'll go beyond that and beyond that. And we have that ability to do that. So when we put that smile on our face, we smile at people we wouldn't normally smile at, we may change their life and we'll never know it. All life is interconnected. See, if there's one mind, everything is interconnected on some level. We talk about being a unity, a family of oneness. And the concept behind that is really amazing. But if you allow yourself to consider that God is everywhere and that we're some part of God, it really isn't that much of a stretch now, is it? That when you look at your neighbor, when you look at people, when you look at those that you have harshly judged, and that doesn't mean that we accept bad behavior. We have a right to set boundaries, if you will. But the individual behind that bad behavior is some aspect of the divine that's expressing as that individual. Maybe it's been harmed, maybe it's been short-circuited mentally, if you will, emotionally, and so it's not functioning, that individual's not functioning in a normal manner. It still doesn't change the truth of who they are. Which means that as we address the world, and boy, there's a lot of stuff in the world today that needs to be addressing now, isn't there? But as we address that in the world, if we bring this consciousness, this concept of love, of expressing love, being understanding, being forgiving, being grateful, all these things that align us with what we consider to be divine principles. not only do we feel good inside, but we begin to experience in our interaction with the outside a better experience. Not only that, but the outside becomes a better place to be. And that really is kind of that butterfly effect as it plays out. And yet we have no idea as individuals how much that we have changed or affected the world because we put a smile on our face. Because for today, we made the choice not to be judgmental. That today, we made the choice to be responsible for ourselves and how we think. And when we find ourselves thinking in ways that are not necessarily affirming ways, that we work at correcting the way we think. We bring ourselves into alignment with God, with principle. As we take time to meditate, we go to that quiet place within. We allow not only our mind to rest, but we open ourselves up for, if you will, God to speak to us in a way that we can hear. And I've heard that many times from meditators, but sometimes it's different for different people. Meditation may just allow the mind to settle. It may make us physically and psycho-emotionally more healthy, but we don't hear anything. So we think, well, maybe that's not a spiritual experience. And yet, we'll find that things happen in our lives, that we'll get intuitive moments of inspiration that wouldn't have been there had we not taken the time to develop a habit pattern of daily meditative practices. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're at the point of our last commercial break for this show, so I'll see you when we come back.
Need a new phone? Have a cracked screen? Cell Pros can set you up with an iPhone for as little as $120. Cell Pros Fresno can meet your cell phone needs. Cracked screen? Cell Pros can have it fixed the same day. Visit us at one of our 4 convenient Fresno locations. Call Cell Pros at 559-961-7767, 961-7767, or visit cellprosfresno.com.
Give your home and yard a facelift with Olivas Landscaping. Olivas Landscaping can make a tired yard look fresh again. Whether you need one-time or recurring service, repair, or a whole new design, contact Olivas Landscaping. Call Patrick Olivas at 273-0142.
Realtor Letty Pinjatori is a broker associate with Keller Williams, and she is also a voiceover artist. Contact Letty at 559-281-4568.
I think people think of raw food or healthy food as not having much flavor, and this is so flavorful.
So very nutrient dense, and it feeds my body. I love Raw Fresno because I've learned so much about nutrition. It's organic, and it's delicious. It's nutrient dense and very tasty.
So that's alive, probiotics, it's healthy vegetables to get that protein, and it's a game changer. It's awesome.
Come to Raw Fresno just because I love the food. There's not too many options or any options like this anywhere.
I come back because the food is delicious. It's definitely a new experience, the different tastes, the salad. It's absolutely delicious.
I love the food because, as I found, this food actually has a lot of flavor. It's all so good, it's hard for me to decide what to eat, so then I'll just take samples of everything.
My husband and I both are addicted to it, and it's like we go through kale withdrawals because it makes us feel better.
It's so healthy, and because it tastes so good. I love the wraps, I love the chocolate cheesecake, and I know everything in it is good for me, and I can eat it and feel good about myself.
The food is so healthy and very tasty.
I would definitely come back to Raw Fresno.
I'm not even the same person, and it's all to this food. It's just amazing. It's transforming.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling, from the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Fresno, California. This is our last segment in this show, talking about mind and creating a more positive life experience for ourselves. You know, there is a very interesting aspect in the mind, and it's something that in the 1980s, particularly when it came to competitive athletics, they discovered that if we held a image in mind and created a reality of that image in our imagination, that our mind couldn't make a difference in discerning between that and something that happened in reality, if you will. In 1984, in the Los Angeles Olympics, I had the opportunity to join the Venezuelan Olympic team as an associate team doctor, and it was a very exciting time in Olympic sports because this concept of using the imagination in something called visualization as part of the training for the athletes was, at that time, was really cutting edge. Today, it's pretty commonplace, but it wasn't back then. That was followed up. University of Chicago did a research study where they took 3 groups of people and they brought them to a basketball court, and they had everybody from all 3 groups throw, I think it was like 23 free throws each, and they scored them. And then over the next, it was like 3 months, they had each group do a specific thing. One group was to do nothing. That was the control group. One group was to practice for an hour every day on the basketball court. And the third group was to sit in the stands for an hour every day and visualize themselves practicing and throwing free throws and being accurate in their practice. At the end of 3 months, the first group that was the control group, obviously there was no improvement. In the group that practiced every day, there was like, I don't remember now, it was like a 20 to 40% improvement, whatever it was. The group that sat in the stands and visualized themselves doing it had essentially the same level of improvement. And the researchers thought, they wondered, well, how could this be? They didn't have the muscle training, they didn't have the timing or whatever, and yet they showed the same level of improvement. And that is because what is created in mind, if we create it as a reality, will play out in our ability to interact with life. As I begin to walk my spiritual path and I begin to understand God as being everywhere present, and that I have a personal relationship with God, and that God responds to me and acts through me, that as part of my daily practice, I begin to see things in a whole different light. And I begin to look at how things unfolded. And I begin to see how people, as they were experiencing their life in either positive or negative ways, were using these definite principles, and that there was a philosophy. Actually, there's several, but there was a specific philosophy that taught these principles as a life-living practice. And I studied, and ultimately I became a minister of religious science. And I share that with people today at the Spiritual Awareness Center. And it's shared throughout the country at various centers and churches under the name of Unity, or Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, Religious Science. And there's many independent churches, New Thought churches. They're all across the country, and actually they're all around the world. What is amazing to me as I look out to the world today and I see all the stuff that's going on, and I make it a point not to subject myself to being bombarded by the news and newspapers and radio and TV, but you can't help but be aware of all the stuff that's going on. I really see how we have a power within us as individuals right now, that as we work on creating a better world within ourselves, that we create a better world around us, that we have the power to change what we're experiencing in the world. And as we realize that, and we realize that we are responsible for the lives that we live, that it's not the outside conditions that are cause, they're just effects. The inside conditions that we make in our mental life, in our spiritual life, are the causes of the life that we experience. We've seen spiritual healers throughout the ages, but it's more than just spiritual healers. It's people that have taken the concept of consciousness and personal responsibility, that have created better lives for themselves, not just healings, but they used in so many other aspects in life, and in relationship, in building a better community, and building a better family, and building in just about anything that you can understand or conceive of. There is an inherent within us a tool or tools that we can use to make life better. So I share this with people, and that's what I do at the Spiritual Awareness Center, in our understanding of God and our relationship to this divine presence and principle. And as I do, it's been a real blessing for me to do this and to see it unfold. Whatever your particular spiritual faith is, I encourage you to, don't make it a Saturday or a Sunday moment. Make it a moment that is always ongoing. Practice the presence of the divine, because you are God expressed as you. Whether you believe that God is a far-off being, or whether you believe that God is inherent everywhere, part of all of reality. You were created by God and nothing else. Unless you believe that there is nothing else. But even then, you still have this great power within you, and you can call it self-confidence. It doesn't make any difference. It really doesn't make any difference what we call God or don't call God. What makes the difference is how we choose to act within ourselves, how we choose to interact with life. If we address life in a loving way, if we address life in a positive way, life will be positive. If we take that concept into areas within our local community where things aren't so positive, can we change the community? Then I believe we can. I've watched people do it. When if you have the opportunity to go back and watch some of the shows that we've done previously with Michael Allen, we talked about him working with kids in the inner cities and the changes that are in their lives. These are kids that have a tough story if they stay tied to their story. But if they give up their story and empower themselves in the now moment, realizing that love is ever present, that their beingness, their worthiness is not dependent on the opinion of another person. It's dependent upon how they choose to take control and act within their life as a being that is empowered, and it has the ability to move in life in ways that we didn't teach people before, but we can teach them now. And that's, as I do this show, that's one of the blessings that I receive, is that idea. So I'd like to see you, if you're in the Fresno area, show up on some Sunday out at the Spiritual Awareness Center. We don't do a church service per se, but I think you'll enjoy the experience. We have a very, very empowering community up there. If you're not in the Fresno area, you can go online, and there is a couple of different websites that you can go to. Findacenter.com, spelled findacenter.com, and you can find pretty much anywhere in the world the nearest church, New Thought church or center near you. You can go to the newthoughtlibrary.com, and you can find books that were written by the early pioneers in the New Thought movement. Books that are as powerful today as they were the day they were written. H. Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth, Ernest Holmes's books, Fenwick Holmes's books, Abel Allen, William Walker Atkinson, the list goes on. You'll find them there. And after you find them there, you'll find possibly other resources out on the internet that you can utilize. If you have questions, you can always reach me through email at madeirasac@gmail.com. madeirasac@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I enjoy sharing with people and answering questions. Love to hear from you. I'm going to wrap it up for this week. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty going in, but I think we covered most of what I wanted to get to today. Blessings, my friend, and know that as you go through the week that the light of God surrounds you, and the love of God enfolds you, and the power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you, because wherever you're at, God is there. All is well. Have a great week. I'll see you when I come back. Thanks.
This segment is brought to you by Mike Briggs Properties. The recession's over. It's now safe to sell your home. Call Mike Briggs Properties.
Visit Princess and the Pauper, where you'll find everything from new and consigned furniture, lighting and art, a line of candles, French soaps, and mineral paint. Whether your style is old world, modern, or a little bit of everything, you'll find it at Princess and the Pauper, located at the southeast corner of Bullard and West. And now you can visit Princess and the Pauper's online store at princessandthepauper.net. Need a new phone? Have a cracked screen? Cell Pros can set you up with an iPhone for as little as $120. Cell Pros Fresno can meet your cell phone needs. Cracked screen? Cell Pros can have it fixed the same day. Visit us at one of our 4 convenient Fresno locations. Call Cell Pros at 559-961-7767, 961-7767, or visit cellprosfresno.com.
If you're getting married soon, contact Raquel Torrado with a Beautiful Day Wedding Ministry at 559-803-1298. Join the Paycation lifestyle for the ultimate experience in travel training. Contact Amanda Howard, a certified travel agent, at 559-708-3991 or visit monarchtravel.paycation.com.
Here at Central Valley Talk, we've chosen Select Business Systems to provide for our copy, print, and scanning needs. We used to think it was cheaper to purchase our own toner and maintain our own office equipment. But now, with the expertise and experience of Select Business Systems, our office workflow is running at peak performance, saving our company time and money. They've truly set us up with our new Sharp multifunction copier, streamlining our office with the press of a button. To find out how you can improve your office technology, call Select Business Systems at 446-0123 or visit their website at selectsharp.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com